switch this up so everybody can watch a Hypercube print. Who doesn't like watching a Hypercube print, huh? Camera here. I mean, nobody can ask what the Hypercube is doing because guess what? It's printing. So editor here. Change this to Hypercube. Justin 3D, hello, hello. Hypercube. Done. Bam, look at that. Now it says Hypercube. Oh, so what is going on, guys? It has been quite an interesting week, I can say. It's been a busy week. Hello, geeky stuff. I just don't want to murder your first name there. As you guys can see, well, there's crap over my desk, but up top there, it is the Hypercube printing right here next to me. A lot of people have been asking about the Hypercube, and guess what? It finally is there. I need to update the video description on this. I know I'm thinking about it. Where are we at here? Because I actually had issues going live today. I kind of forgot to launch OBS Studio a little bit early, and it had to do an update. So that's, you know, I tried to launch it like at 9, let it update, my internet's slow, so. Pegboard mounts, that's pretty awesome. I like the ones that, what's his name's been doing? Devin. So, those are cool. I have pegboard, and I wish I had more pegboard to do pegboard mounts. It's just such a cluster over there, it really is. Like, I have too many tools, what it comes down to, in it. It's just bad. 4RC, hello, hello. Today is 3/31. We can update that. Yeah, I'm still doing reprints. Yep, I'll leave that all the same there. That's updated. We can minimize that now and come back here. Oh, you printed some of Devin's stuff. Sweet. Cheap 3D printer. Hello, hello. Justin 3D, are you designing your own? Or are you just printing on what he has? Because I know he has the pegs you can download, and then you can get your own model and like slap pegs on the back of that, as long as you have the spacing right. I do here have an envelope from Bob at Make Anything. I bought some stickers and stuff off him, which was pretty awesome. I love Bob. Ender 2 is amazing. If you guys are looking for a cheap, smallish 3D printer, that is an awesome go-to printer. It really, really is. It is probably one of the funnest ones that I print with. Funnest, we shouldn't use the word that way. It is one of my most enjoyable printers. Let's go that way. Especially for the price. It was on sale for 150 bucks. Justin 3D, I also bought an Ender 3, where I think I got it on their app for $152. What it came to, and I'm saving for Prusa i3 right now, i3 Mark III, and all of the affiliate money that comes into me comes into PayPal, and it sits there right now. So if anyone would decide to just donate on these streams, the money will all go to an MK3 machine, and then eventually I'm going to buy the multi-material. I really want to get into multi-material printing, but I think between that and the multi-material, it's like $1,400. And I'm not quite 500 in, I think, so I have a long way of saving to go because YouTube is not the most financially stable, or I guess for a channel my size, the amount of money you make is really not a lot, so it takes a while. If it was like Joel, you'd make that in a month easily. Actually, probably makes that like a week. That's why he does it full time. There's a difference there. Mickey, what's up? Mark, yes it is. Again, I posted links on AliExpress for that. It was supposed to be the CR10 Mini on sale. They swapped it out for the Ender 3 because I think the Ender 3 is going to be the replacement for the CR10 Mini. Because the CR10 Mini is kind of a stupid printer, especially for the price of it. getting something a little bit smaller cuts the cost down over $100, $150. I think the CR10 Mini is a really dumb buy, in my opinion. It's not worth the money, because for like $30 more, you can get a regular CR10. Because the CR10 Mini goes for like $320 usually. You can get the OG CR10, the 300mm bed one, for $330, $340 on sale, $360 not on sale. So I don't see why anyone would buy a CR10 Mini, except when it was on sale for $160. That would be when to buy it. Yeah, I really was trying to not buy it, but for $160 or $152, I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't say no. No one, so I did ask all of my vendors, so the folks that send me printers to review, if they had one. Everyone said they don't have them. And I don't get any materials from AliExpress. Sadly, none of the vendors, because the vendors sell directly on AliExpress, where GearBest is a reseller, Banggood is a reseller. So I don't have any direct agreements with anyone. I have an Anycubic agreement in the works. I have a TiVo agreement in the works. So right now I'm dealing with resellers, and eventually I would love to deal with actual companies like the big channels do. But we'll have to see how that goes. I got my Ender 3 from, I didn't pre-order it, I ordered it on AliExpress, and it already shipped. Fang for the CR10S is improved quality. So put it this way, the closer you get your air to the nozzle, so your outlet to the nozzle, the better your cooling will be. The better your cooling is, especially for PLA prints, it's almost like more cooling is good, which usually it is. But if the more coverage you have around the nozzle, you'll get better prints. If all your cooling comes from one side, you have a large print, and you're blowing on the infill, but out here is the exterior of the model where you're printing, but you're blowing on the infill, you're not going to get good cooling. But if you have cooling on both sides of the wall, you will get equal cooling, and you'll get very, very rigid prints. You'll get very crisp prints. So the more angles you have to the nozzle, the better. That's why, so currently on the Hypercube, you can't tell, I have the standard nozzle, or the standard cooler on there, which is only one side. I then have, where'd it go? I then have this part cooling fan shroud, which gives me about a 270-degree coverage around the nozzle of airflow. Now, granted, the airflow here in the back is going to be a little bit more than here towards the front, just because the air will take least path resistance, which is there, and you just have to deal with that. But the more coverage you have, the better. I have fangs now on both of my CR10 and the CR10S. I have a similar Scorpion style cooler on the Anycubic i3 Mega. I just put the Titan Aero on the Fugatech 2020 i3 with a full round. Actually, that's a 360-degree cooler on that one. Yeah, almost every one of my printers has upgraded cooling versus just one side cooling. That was a long answer. Sorry about that. You said it was a pre-order. I honestly did not know it was Kickstarter. I will double check, because I ordered that with two other things, and I was 99% sure that it shipped. I'm gonna check that right now real quick. Sign in AliExpress. Wish I'd known it was Kickstarter. I'd have grabbed it then. Orders. Okay, correct. It has not shipped yet. You're right. But one other thing shipped. The other stuff has not shipped yet either. Here's a couple of things I picked up. Ooh, where'd we go? Here we are. As I said, it's been a busy week. The CR10S behind me in the blue, you kind of see bigger little blue. it's finished. I was working on so I just did a video on installing the Micro Swiss all metal hot end on that one, which is the full new cold end, throat, hot end, all that nozzle, and I am getting zitting. So no matter what my retraction settings are, I'm getting zitting on the print. Let me get big here real quick so you guys can see. So those zits, I cannot get rid of. I thought it was the Capricorn tubing, so I took the Capricorn tubing off, and it's still there. I've tried everywhere from 2 millimeters up to 8 millimeter retraction at 30 millimeters a second. I get the exact same pimpling on every print. It's not bleeding out anywhere. It's just the retraction in that hot end is not great. It's kind of annoying. Hard to tell on those, but I mean, so this is with my standard 6.5 millimeter retraction, and then this, I bumped this up to 7 millimeters, and different filament, and it totally under extruded it all. It just went to crap there in the middle of the print. Like, what the heck happened there? So that is currently one of my issues I'm trying to sort through right now. Well, it was working just fine with the CR10's standard, like their stock nozzle and their stock cold end. That was working just fine. And I just don't. There has to be a secret with this nozzle on how to get good retraction with it, and I just can't figure out what that good setting is. So I have the Easy ABL on the CR10. I actually just did a video on that. I have not edited it yet, but I will be traveling, so I'll be doing a lot of editing probably at night to get that done. I like it. Tim is going to send me another one for the CR10S, since he sent me the one for the CR10. It was pretty easy. It took me about an hour to get it set up and to tune it in. A little longer than I was expecting, but I did have the wire version, and I went around it a little differently than what he said to do. So there's that. But yeah, I think I'm two ways about it. I change out my plate a lot. I have a stack of build plates for 300 by 300 millimeter for all my different 300 millimeter printers because I change out my beds all the time. If you're just leaving it static, I have a hard time recommending it's not just Easy ABL, it's any auto bed leveling sensor. Once the bed is level, if you have decent springs in there, it shouldn't change very much. So it's hit and miss. Is it a good product? Yes. Is it easy to install? Mostly. There's a little bit of fine tuning. I did have to reach out to him to help me out with something on it because I was not understanding a step. But that was because I was so used to using a BL Touch versus captive captive sensor, right? That's what this one is? It's not inductive, right? Inductive is metal. Yeah, it's captive. Have fun, Skewed. Okay, again, this is not an E3DV6. This is the Micro Swiss CR10 hot end. I'll pull it up just so you guys can see it because there's a confusion here. That's Microsoft. Why did Microsoft come up? Micro Swiss. Hot end. It's not it. Where's that? Full catalog. Here it is, right here. So this is the all metal hot end for the CR10 printer. It's completely different than an E3D. It is completely different than any other hot end out there, except for it's an all metal high temp version of the CR10's. I don't want to say proprietary, but their unique hot end that they use. It's not software. I'm using the same profile. None of that has changed. I tried the Capricorn tubing, thought I was blaming Capricorn tubing. It was not. So the extruder is the standard extruder. There's no skipping on it, anything like that. I checked all that. It's not stripping anything. Actually, I should say I'm using a 3D printed extruder for the CR10 and CR10S, just because it brings it closer to the gear so I can do flexible stuff. But again, before changing out the hot end, I had 0 issues. So it's not the extruder, it's not the software, it's the hot end. Indy, what up, buddy? Come back to here. Not that one. There we go. Yeah, so you can see here, the PTFE tubing goes down like nothing at all. It barely goes into it. Titanium heat break. So it's just, I don't know what is up with the retraction on this. It's something clearly I'm doing because most of it has high, people are praising it. Let's do the inadequate cooling on the heat break. Now that would be interesting because, let me think here. I'm using the standard 40mm fan, which is loud and blows a crap ton of air. So and yes, so I did see Tom's video on that. It's like the Octoprint. It's kind of like a cheaper, not really cheaper because it combines a lot of things. So it combines the TMC 2130. So that's kind of like the I can't think of the name now. Like the Prusa board that he uses, and then it's got features like Octoprint and Linux. It's got features from like the Duet Wi-Fi. It's combining a lot. When I looked on their website, it's $100. He said in the video he was looking for 110. It's 99 right now. So it is a premium board. It's an interesting board, I would say that. But it has a full processor, is what he was saying. That's why I can run Linux on it. And I would have to see, like right now he's still prototyping. He just has the boards out. He's still waiting for people to help him with the software programming because he hasn't configured like the centerless homing or anything like that. So there's still a lot to be done with it. I would need to see some actual prints with it and how to configure it in order to say whether it'd be a decent buy or not. Right now it's a super priced premium board. I mean, anything over 50, I guess, yeah, anything over like $50 is considered a premium board because you can get any MKS base or gen board for less than that. Ramps obviously cost what, $6, and then $11 for the Mega 2560. I'm not using any 32-bit boards. Well, I guess technically the Smoothie board is 32 bits, but I'm running at 16 on the Delta, the Triangle Labs Delta, because the difference between, welcome subscriber, the difference between the 16 and 32 step or bit, I haven't noticed anything different. Or no, steps for that one. But that's a 32-bit board. I haven't noticed any difference in it though. True, unless you're getting the 2130s off Ally, which, from what I'm told from people who know a lot more about chips and stepper drivers than I do, is that the Chinese boards are using the exact same IC, just they're using their own PCB for it. Everything else is identical from Trinamic. They're just buying just the ICs, putting on their own board. Some people are arguing that they have inadequate cooling. I say if you throw a fan on them, they're fine. I have not had problems. I have all Chinese drivers because they were super cheap. They were like $7 a piece versus $15 a piece from Watermart, and Philistruder and Trinamic, or from what's that Digi website you can get the individual things. Not DigiStrat. Anyways, you know what I mean. So, will I be doing any videos on setting up SmoothieWare? Probably not, because I am super noob with it, and I only have it on one printer. I will probably do a video on my adventure, because that board and screen were provided to me for the purpose of me. DigiKey, that's it. So the board and screen were provided to me by Kingprint in order for me to actually learn SmoothieWare and to give my thoughts on SmoothieWare and their product. So I still need to do that video, but if I'm going to do tutorials on it, probably not, because I only have one printer that uses it. So I'm not really an authority to be doing those kind of videos. If it works, yes, Indy, that is actually it. Welcome another subscriber. Absolutely, Indy. If it works, is the big thing. Hang this up. There we go. But yeah, I would actually want to see like Tom do a video or someone else do a video on it to see how it actually works out. Was SmoothieWare hard to learn? I use Marlin currently. So I use Marlin on every printer except for that Smoothie board. Smoothie is a text document, so it's actually super easy to edit and change, because when you connect your USB to the printer, it pops up a drive, and that drive is the micro SD card that you've installed in the board. All you do is open up the config file, make your edits, close and save it, reboot the machine, and the firmware has been changed. I shouldn't say the firmware. The configuration has been changed, because once you do the firmware, you update it, that's it. It just has firmware on it. You're changing the configuration file that the firmware looks at. So understanding it is the biggest issue. Now, I used it on a Delta, which Deltas are not easy to begin with. I think if I would have used it on a regular RepRap printer, it would have been easier to figure out. I know a lot of people that are using them on like the Fugatech 2020 i3. They're using 32-bit Smoothie boards to get better prints out of them. So configuration for me was just a little hard to learn. It took me about 2 to 3 weeks to actually learn what I was changing and how to get it to work with the Delta. But I don't know if that was anything to factor in, was just, Delta hell. Because no one, unless you're some type of genius, has Deltas like on the first try. It takes a while to figure those out. Oh man. I'm currently doing MakerBox prints. I don't know if any of you guys are MakerBox guys. But I have composite copper from E3D, or not, I'm sorry, E3D, because we were talking E3D. This is from Protopasta. So this is their copper filament. It's a little under extruded in the top there, but otherwise the walls, really nice. Over support, it actually did amazing. So please focus on my hands and not on my face and not my background. Come on. Yeah, so over those corners of the T and the F, that was above support, and that looks really good for being like a PLA, and this thing weighs a metric ton. Super heavy print. The filament is crazy heavy, that's why. But that was fun. Then I had a failure. This was not as fun. This was with GF30PP from Xstrand. And this is supposed to be some type of crazy, a glass fiber filled polypropylene Filament. Yeah, epic failure. That was because they literally tell you to print on packing tape. Right here. PET packing tape on bed. I called bullshit and didn't think that that was true. I'm now printing on packing tape right now and it's laying down just fine. So I'm super mad about that. It's staying adhered to the bed. Super mad about that. They were actually right. I was like, no, it'll stick with some glue stick on PEI. Everything sticks with glue stick on PEI. Everything does. Not this stuff, no. Not at all. Catch back up board on the Hypercube is an MKS Gen version 1.4. My favorite board because of its size, its durability, and the hookups on it. It's easy to use. Works great with Marlin. Works great with the touch screen. You can't see it. I've got the TFT32 touchscreen on here. I also can do any other screen on here. I just like the board personally. So Scott, just so you're aware, on the new box you need high temp and hardened nozzle to print almost everything in there. The X-Strand requires hardened nozzle. The clay requires an enclosure. The composite copper requires a hardened nozzle, and the ABS-PA is a nylon ABS composite, which requires an enclosure. So you need an enclosure, you need a high temp, and you need a hardened nozzle. Miggy, yes, that is the other thing. There are no soldered drivers, so I can swap out drivers super quick. I'm now running the Hypercube with 2208 drivers. Sorry, 2208 drivers. I was using 2100 drivers for a little while, but I decided to switch those out because the 2208s are slightly quieter. They're not as smooth as 2100s, I've noticed, but they are much quieter. So those are running on the X and Y. The Z and extruder are still 84988s because there's no reason to change those. Yes, I am running Marlin on the Hypercube. It's an MKS Gen version 1.4. I don't know what else. I'm not a big board guy. I just know that this board works out well and I really like it. So I use it on multiple printers. I do not like the ramps sandwich. I feel that there's too many parts that can go bad, and I did have the Mega go bad on the Fugatech 2020 i3. The 5-volt regulator went bad on there. Subscriber, hello. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, maybe again, it works out well. I do have, where did that board go? Oh, here it is. So here's an MKS base 1.4, which I don't like because the drivers are soldered in there. And you can't change them out. I mean, granted, they're just A498 drivers. This is a really crappy board. This came off of the Triangle Labs. This is the board it came with. I kept it because I want to try it on a different printer to see if it works any better. Or works well at all, really. I just don't see the reason for little boards like this. I really don't like them. I mean, it's nice because it's small. I mean, literally, this is, 2/3 the height of the Gen board and about the same width. So it fits really nice in a small form factor case or the bottom of a Delta printer if you're going to put it down in there. It fits really well in there for the smaller Deltas, which is anything, I would say, under 200 millimeters wide. You need a smaller board just because the triangle, the extrusions are really tight. Anything larger than 200, you can do a full-size board without a problem. Which is also why I'm actually really liking the Triangle Labs MKS board that they have. Oh, no, sorry, not the Triangle Labs. The Tri-Gorilla MKS board that they have. I'm running it in the Anycubic i3 Mega right there. and the Anycubic console right here. It's a fairly robust board. It has a lot of hookups on it. It has a lot of fan hookups on it, so you can go ahead and set your extruder fan to come on at 40 degrees and turn off at 40 degrees, so it's not always running. It has superior controls, so you can have a controller fan that turns on when you have a stepper turn on. That controller fan kicks on, so it's not running all the time. A lot more control of your printer with that board. I really like it. I think it's $32 because I did burn one out on the Mega, so I had to buy a new one. I think it was 32 bucks, so it's really affordable, and there's a lot you can do with it. So that might actually be my new favorite board. DRV8825 drivers are garbage. My personal opinion. I really don't like them. So my issue with them is they are loud, and you get, so I don't know, Justin 3D, did you watch my new TL Smoothers thing? That's what's in the baseboard. That's in the Triangle Labs. I added smoothers. Prints come out beautifully now, but I had that salmon skin and that micro stepping. So as everything moved, I'd get the shutter. Really, really small shutter. If you watch your wheels turn, you can see the shutter. And prints just look weird, and they felt weird. I don't like those drivers unless you're running with 24 volts. Apparently at 24 volts, according to Brent, everybody should see him in the Fugatech group and the Friendly 3D printing group. He runs those at 24 volts, and apparently they work magnificently. I have no 24 volt printers. All of them that I have, they're all 12 volts. So using those, I don't like soldered in boards either. I'd rather just use my own drivers that I want to, and if I want to switch them out, I can. For whatever I want to do my things my way and not the way someone sends me a board. Because I might not like the way that board performs. That's just me. I'm not streaming on Twitch because the following there is tiny. I did stream on Twitch a few times. I love the interface. I like it a lot. But I'm now 20-some people in this stream, where Twitch I was getting like 4 and 5. I just don't have the following there, and to start up there would be another tasking. Maybe in a year or two, I'll dual stream if I have good enough internet. But my internet right now is hard enough just to support this 480p stream for you guys. I just don't have the bandwidth to do both. Maybe if I started streaming both, it would work out better. Either way, not enough followings, so I stopped doing that. Yeah, that's the other thing, Mark. Yeah, you can add the filament runoff sensor very easily to that. So that is just super easy. Hello, Mike. How you doing? Holy cow. I have to say, this Hypercube prints pretty smooth. I don't think I have a setup here for you guys to view just of the printer large. I'd have to make that real quick, but not working on right now. But yeah, the Hypercube prints really smooth prints. I did this Arya the Dragon recently, just at this is 100% scale, and it turned out really well. There's a little bit of artifacting up in the wings for some reason. I did have a little bit of stringing down in there. Come on. Focus on my hands, not my face. Either way, a little bit of stringing in there, but no banding anywhere. So the integrated lead screw in the motor for the Z, that's working out nice. And then having the anti-backlash Durlin large nut on there, that is good too. I'm just impressed by the prints I'm getting out of this thing off the base. And then I just did a bridge test, and there is hardly any sagging whatsoever on the print. I can definitely see some from, I guess, probably like 70 millimeters and up. There's a little bit of sagging there, but I mean, they're all connected. The 100 is the only one that has a string that is coming off. See that there? That is the only one that's coming off there on the 100. Everything else is adhered, which is really nice to see, but it's pretty nice. I don't know why I didn't build one earlier. Oh, are you going to replace that mark with the Tri-Gorilla board? The Hypercube is printing right now. So if you guys can't hear it, it's that quiet. I mean, again, I'm using 2208 drivers on it, so that helps a lot. I mean, the fan's obviously the loudest thing. The 30mm E3D fan is always crazy loud. I'm going to do an adapter for a 40mm fan. I have a 20mm thick Noctua fan probably going to put on there. But, I mean, if you can't hear it now, it's quiet. I mean, I do have the FT5 printing, and I do have the air conditioner running because it's hot down here with all the printers going. And I have right below me down there is the filament dryer, the food dehydrator running, drying out some TPU for me to finish a review on. I need to dry it out some. Well, Mark, I hope you do. I usually do the streams. Some of them go kind of long if I'm working on a project, but like tonight's stream will be like 1 to 2 hours. Usually what I plan out for these, get questions, tell you guys what I'm talking about, see behind the scenes, things like that. And a lot of questions end up popping up, which is nice. I mean, I love answering questions for people if I know the answer. I don't know all, but I try my best to help out. Oh, okay. Well, what I have is a super cheap Weller adjustable, and I always run it on 5 because I do that, you know, go big or go home type of guy. And that was, I mean, I solder everything with that. I solder beds. Doesn't matter the size of the bed. People complained about the FT5's 300mm bed, resoldering that. I've never had a problem soldering anything with that. I just bought a new tip. I think that was like 30 or 40 bucks. And I've had it for, I bought that last tour, so I've had it a good 5, maybe 6 years now. Happy Easter, Anders. Yes, I did. A flexible egg. So these are on Thingiverse's homepage for a while. I printed a bunch of these, and I just did them in Pryline. Is that Pryline? No, the Kodak filament. I printed a whole slew of them in the Kodak filament, the Kodak green. And that review will be out, I think, next Friday. So right after Easter. I didn't have enough time to edit it and get it uploaded and everything before Easter. But I just saw the prints, and I thought it was kind of cool to print them. But that was all I did. Easter's not really a huge 3D printing holiday, for me at least. Halloween was big. Christmas is always huge. And then random stuff for my house always ends up trumping anything else for holidays. But those are the holidays that I really do print for. Justin 3D, yes. So I want to put on I'm doing a bunch of test prints right now with various things. I am going to switch out filament though. I'm running out of this Maker Geeks filament. And I want to reprint them with the other part cooler, the one I showed with the 270-degree coverage. And I think that will help me out determine if it's that much better. Maybe. I don't know. I obviously don't have enough time before Easter to do that, record, edit, and then upload it. I'm currently roughly a week, actually 2 weeks behind. When I film a video and it goes public, it takes me about 2 weeks to make that process happen. Also, it's just my sheer backlog of videos. I have 8 or 10 videos that need to be edited now, but I just don't have enough hours in the day, days in the week to edit all those videos and upload all of them. So keeping to 2 videos a week is my maximum right now for just the health of my life and the wife, who's currently doing Easter eggs right now. What? I'm not being yelled at because I'm not helping fill Easter eggs right now. Now everyone knows that. All 26 people who are watching. Above a huge number. Hey, Mark, thanks for it, buddy. Hoping FT5 V2 this summer. Awesome. I'm hopefully still going to get one of those. There's finally hit the notification. I'm hopefully going to get a V2. Here, important to Mickey. Yes, I do carve out Saturday evenings to do this stream. Next week I won't have one because I'll be traveling. I highly doubt I'll be doing a stream from the hotel room, so that's not going to happen. It might. I'll have the kids involved with that one. They'll still be up. I mean, not like they're ever going to go to bed. They'll be jet lagged. But yeah, so I'll be gone. So I'm trying to get a bunch of videos edited so that Riley can do the updates, do the uploads for me while I'm traveling. That's the big thing right now. But yeah, I record a bunch. Like when I start filament reviews, I usually do 4. I start 4 videos, and then over the next week or 2, I record them and do all the test prints with them. And depending on how religious I am with the prints, depends on how fast I can get those reviews done. I can usually do the maker box in 2 days, usually over a weekend, or sometimes in a day. It depends on how hard the prints are. Right now the prints are difficult, and they all require enclosure, all metal, hardened nozzle. So that the only printer that fits that bill, is the FT5. If I had a second enclosed printer, it would be a lot easier. But I don't, so it takes a little longer to do some of the prints. And any of the PLAs, I can print any printer, so I can just dedicate one printer. Okay, you're going to print this PLA, this PLA, this PLA, this TPU, whatever, and then just go. I also only have 2 direct drive printers, which means there's only 2 printers that I can print flexible filament with easily. I can print it with the upgraded extruders on the CR10 and the CR10S right here on the wall. I can't do it on there. Hey, Just3, thank you, buddy. And so pretty flexible. I'm still working through those, but I only have 2 printers that I know 100% print flexible well. And the right here, the FT2020 i3 just got the Titan Aero installed on it. And I'm just doing test prints now with that. I actually have the flexible filament in the food dryer. I'll start prints with that tonight again to see how that works out. So just 3D, you're currently building a Raise 3D N2 Plus clone. That is awesome. Is it just the kinematics, or is it actually like the enclosure that you're building as well? Because that would be epic. That is like it's a $5,000 machine, and it weighs in a metric ton. I know Joel got that in on a pallet. I was like, wow, they're never going to send me one of those because you can't get that heavy of an item to me. But that would be a pretty awesome printer to play with. Even just to lend me one. I would love to just try one out. I love the giant screen on it. Enclosed it, it's massive. I bet. Are you going to do like the great big like touch screen that's on the front of it? That's what, like a 9 or 12-inch screen? It's basically a tablet on the front of the printer, which is crazy. And yes, I'm still waiting for Pepsi to sponsor my streams. Totally just going to look something up. I totally just lost it. And I think that this print on the FT5 is going to run out of filament because my coin is just over half of the filament usually. So I'm a little worried that it's going to be too much. Do I have it here? It requires 8 meters. That might be enough. There's 16 meters on there, and the failure first was that much. It might just have enough. Or Simplify 3D's guesstimating is wrong on the length, which I don't think they are. From what I've been seeing, it's just the build time that's wrong on it. It's never the length. Raspberry Pi Octoprint, cool. Mike, so they're asking for on the Hypercube, which is printing right here beside me. You guys are watching print. This is an MKS Gen 1.4 board. It does not have soldered in drivers, so you can put it any kind you want. And I originally started using it on the FT5. That's when I first started liking it so much. What are you doing? Who's get squeaky toys? We don't have a dog. Luke? Oh, bath toys. Okay. The Tri-Gorilla MKS variant board is awesome. I think I'm going to start using those in custom printers, or if I'm going to upgrade printers, start using that more often, because I really do like that board. Pepsi and Girl Scout cookies. Yes, Scott. Yes. Girl Scouts of America, you need to sponsor my videos, because I will eat your cookies every stream if I need to. Everyone was laughing because my first couple of streams, I was finishing off the Filament case. Yes, a case. Yes, I buy Girl Scout cookies by the case. Who doesn't? I mean, I thought that was just kind of obvious. Mike, what kind of printer are you looking to put this board into? Delta, Hypercube, a regular RepRap i3? Stop with the squeaky toys. This looks really good. Let's see if we can. I wish I had another thing here though, for you guys to see. Oh well. I'll have to build another scene for you guys so you can see that. Regular RepRap i3. The Tri-Gorilla is nice. Again, at like $32, I think it was. Really wasn't that bad. Oh, that's what I needed to fix real quick. Hang on a second, guys. Chat box. Back to me. Chat box. There we go. Now the chat box will show actual size. Even though it's pretty small, no one can read anyways, but whatever. Yes, stand by. Ooh, ramps board. Hey, make sure you go down the video description and use my link down there, if you'd be so kind, when you purchase your board. But yeah, I ordered it through. I think I got mine through eBay. It was easy enough to get it through there. I mean, ramps are good and they're cheap. Like Tom used one on his really cheap MK3 replica, or I guess he did like an MK2 replica. I mean, it's a good cheap board for what, $20 you get both parts, but I don't like the sandwich. And I mean, look at the cluster on that printer right there. It's an absolute cluster because they got this giant board. I want to get an enclosure for that on the 2020 i3. Excuse me, because I just all those are weird. Oh, I just have the heater go out on that printer. When I was tightening down the nozzle, I spun it around a few times and I jacked up the contacts in there. So that busted. I had to replace that. I had to replace the thermistor on. What else did I break something on? It was that printer as well. The thermistor I killed. Was it that one? Killed the thermistor on something recently, and I had to go ahead and replace that too. Which thankfully I have a bunch of them because they're really cheap to get on Amazon. They're like $5 for $1. Yeah, Amazon. Gotta love the Amazon Prime. It works out well. Yeah, I mean, it's a 2560 board and the ramps smashed into one board. The G-Tech has the GT 2560, which it works. It's okay. I don't have any problems with it. It's just a little bit big of a board. It's a little bit bigger than the MKS Gen board. There's really nothing wrong with it. I mean, it does have its positives, so it does have much larger MOSFETs on it, which are supposed to be better. They do have heat sinks on the MOSFETs. You're not relying on the MOSFETs being attached to the board and using the board as a giant heat sink. The fact that they have their own, you put a fan on it, they're really, really cool. So I do like that. I think it'll have more longevity to it than any of the other boards do. Oh, just the video. So I was down here getting print started before I started the stream. I just watched that video. It was a long video, but I waited through the whole thing. That's boss. Like, that is super cool. It's interesting though how it's going to start at about 1,100 pounds. So that's going to be what, $1,400 US with no hardware. You're buying just the chassis and the movement system. That's it. There's no extruders. Oh no, I don't think there's any extruders because they're running Titans. There's no extruders on there. There's no hot ends on there. There's no board. So you have to get the duet Wi-Fi and you have to get the extension board. So that right there alone, if you're buying legit E3D stuff, is $1,000 easily for all of that stuff, which is crazy. So it's going to be expensive for what it is. I think they could find something different because the carbon fiber reinforcement for the X alone is $100, which is insane. I think you can get that down a lot lighter using a thicker piece of aluminum, because the carbon fiber is not much lighter than a decent aluminum. You know, pick your poison at that point. Old wives' tale on a size, mostly because So, Miggy, is it better that they have heat sinks on them already? 3D, yeah. So I would probably say it would be USD almost $3,000 for that printer. And they talked about making changes to have where the one hot end would then pick up a Bowden tube have 10 different Bowden tubes with 10 different filaments in it, that would make it even more expensive, I feel. Or cheaper if it's one hot end. You know, this is just a standard one. They're talking about having a second wipe chamber so that you can do Titan. It would be lower and do Titan nozzles on some, or I'm sorry, not Titan, volcano nozzles on some of them, and then standard on another. You know, again, if you're buying all legit stuff, which they're using high quality high wind rails and things like that. Like, it's high quality stuff. It's expensive though. Yeah, he did talk about looking for a composite. You know, see if something would come, because $100 for that's crazy. And I still think for the whole printer alone, $1,400 US is a bit much, because it's using a few pieces of aluminum, the top plate and the bottom plate, a few pieces of 2040 extrusion. The side panels are acrylic. The back panel is acrylic with a clear acrylic back panel. Motors are what, $50 for all the motors on there. You know, $100 if you're buying high quality ones. The rails, you know, are $100 a piece, roughly. You know, or maybe they're like $70 a piece. They've got 4 rails in there, 5 rails. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rails on there. So there's like $300 to $400 just in rails alone. But the rest of the components just seems a little expensive for the rest of the components. The rails I can understand. Everything else I can't understand the price of that. Yeah, if they get the pick and place, so you can put things in. If that's the type of manufacturing you're going for, which is probably no one in this chat and no one that watches my channel, no one's looking for that kind of stuff. That's industrial. It will be good for them, you know. And Sanjay talked about making it standard, and a standard is good because standard right now we have 2. He's looking for the large nozzle standard for large form factor printers, the ones that use 2 and 3 millimeter nozzles, and then you know, again, this is the first of its kind. It will go down in price. I mean, look at SLA and SLS printers. They're plummeting in price right now. You can SLA printer for $500. You know, you can get a DLP printer for $400. The price will go down eventually. No, he did not talk about the software or the slicer that he's using at all. Because it would be, it's probably almost like how Prusa had to make his multi-material one change out. So that was interesting. Yeah, so 6mm in size, which would actually make the nozzle up to about 3 or 4 millimeters. I think is the largest you would go with something like that, because you're just putting out so much plastic. 4 nozzles even be too much, like 3. Because you gotta figure, we're using 1.75mm filament with a 0.4mm nozzle. So whatever the ratio is to that. And the largest you can do with a 1.75mm filament, I think, is what, 1.4mm? To actually extrude and keep pressure. But the problem is you're melting filament so fast. That's why he also has the larger volcano nozzles to kind of help out with that. Because one volcano nozzle sometimes is enough. Sometimes you have to do dual volcano nozzles to make that work out well. But the for me, pick and place would not serve anything other than a cool factor. I don't do 3D hubs or anything like that. Now the fact that he talked about printing something and then the pick and place model grabbed, after everything cooled down, it grabbed that model off, tossed it off, and started to print over again. You could just, I mean, let your printer run for days printing the exact same thing. Like, mass manufacturing would be super easy, but then you got to think, what is cheaper and what's more effective? That, or getting one of the units that have 6 nozzles or 8 nozzles on one bed running at once, printing the exact same thing. Now, granted, your build size is much, much more reduced because of that setup, but, you know, those machines are like $3-4 grand right now and coming down. Oh yeah, I mean, if you're gonna put stuff in like that, or the bearings, like he gave the fidget spinner bearing example, to have actually inset stuff rather than doing a model, pausing it at that point, putting your stuff in without hopefully screwing anything up, and then continuing to print. Kind of like when I did the rattle, which I don't know if I ever did a video on that. The baby rattles that I printed. You had to print out the P's first, and as the print got up so high, you just dropped them with Ferrigno's pliers, so that they were inside of it. Hello, subscriber. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this up because I need to help get ready for Easter tomorrow, so if there's any last minute questions, I can answer. Airbrushing, hello. You come at the end, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would actually need to see what that tool head looks like that would do the pick and place, because I don't know anything really about those. Did I see anything more in the alpha-wise? Well, I have one coming in the mail, Paul. So GearBest said they were going to send me one, and I'll get to see what it's like for myself. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Rick, oh, hey, buddy. How you doing, man? But yeah, so thanks guys for tuning in. There won't be a stream next week. I'll be traveling, but videos will still come out on time. Thanks to my buddy Riley, who's doing all my YouTube things for me. Well, at least all the uploading and things like that. He's publishing everything for me on there. So I will see you guys in the next video. The next stream will be in 2 weeks, hopefully. If I'm not too jet lagged. We'll see how that goes. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like the stream. I like doing these. I like to make sure people are interested in seeing them. So I will see you guys the next time.